Welcome to week 5. This week, we're going to start tackling gender. So, what exactly is gender? When we talk about gender, we're usually talking about a whole host of attributes and behaviors, some that are assigned to boys and men, and others that are assigned to girls and women. Blue is for boys, pink is for girls. Men like sports and beer. Women like shopping and wine. Men are tough, dirty, and hairy. Women are pretty, sensitive, and talkative. I'm guessing most of you have realized a lot of these are stereotypes, and there's a whole lot to unpack here. The first thing we need to do is start by separating the concepts of sex and gender. Sex is biological. Usually we determine someone's sex by what external genitalia they have. But your biological sex also includes your DNA, hormones, internal reproductive organs, and secondary sex characteristics. Secondary sex characteristics are visible signs of sex related primarily to your hormones, such as increased body hair and a deeper voice for those with more testosterone, and the development of breasts and hips in those with more estrogen. We tend to think of sex as being two completely separate categories, too. Penis equals male and vulva equals female. However, humans just aren't that clearly differentiated. Human sex organs start out as the same thing, which is known as a genital tubercle. As an embryo develops, hormones determine how that tubercle develops. As a result, our sexual organs are homologs, meaning we have the same bits. They're just arranged a little differently, and this nice little comic gives you some examples. For some people, their sex characteristics are not clearly in alignment. There's a wide range of combinations of DNA, secondary sex characteristics, and internal and external sex organs. These people refer to themselves as intersex, although out-of-date references may call them hermaphrodites. So, if biological sex isn't the same as gender, then what exactly is gender? Gender is a socially constructed set of characteristics and behaviors that are associated with masculinity and femininity. The big takeaway is that what characteristics are masculine and what are feminine are agreed upon by a society, and that means they can change. Different societies have different sets of behaviors associated with masculinity and femininity, and those attributes can change over time. For example, we now associate pink with feminine and blue with masculine. However, prior to the 1940s, it was the opposite. Red was considered a forceful color, more suited for men, while blue was considered a more peaceful color, more appropriate for women. Pink, as a lighter shade of red, was then considered appropriate for boys, while lighter blue was the proper color for girls. The switch happened gradually in the 1930s and 40s, in part due to the embrace of pink by famous women. Gender can be broken down into two main components, external and internal. We refer to external gender as gender expression, that is, how you show your gender to the outside world. This is strongly influenced by your socialization, which attributes you are taught to associate with masculine and feminine, and includes everything from how you stand and walk to how you style your hair, what clothing you wear, as well as things like what topics you're encouraged to study and what professions you're encouraged to pursue. Gender identity, by contrast, is internal. It's about your personal sense of self, how you see yourself in your head. For many people, biological sex and gender identity align, which is what makes it easy for society to use them interchangeably. We refer to these people as cisgender. The prefix cis comes from the field of biology, and literally means on the same side. For some, though, their gender identity differs from expectations. These people are transgender, trans meaning moving from one side to another. That's a pretty basic overview, though, and we're going to dig into what exists outside of cisgender later in the lecture. Femininity is attributes and behaviors ascribed to feminine people, primarily women and girls. As a gender, it is socially constructed and subject to change over time. Some commonly associated traits include modesty, gentleness, submissiveness, nurturing, empathy, and cooperativeness. While not all feminine people exhibit all these traits, they are considered the ideal traits of femininity. Masculinity is attributes and behaviors ascribed to masculine people, primarily men and boys. Again, as a gender, it is socially constructed and subject to change over time. Some commonly associated traits include strength, being logical, toughness, self-reliance, highly sexual, being a provider, and a protector. While not all masculine people exhibit all these traits, they are considered the ideal traits of masculinity. Next, we're going to watch a video that talks about the origin of gender and how gender differentiation became so important in identity.